For years, I have traveled the world slinging my creator-owned comics at the biggest and hottest cons. Now I'm giving you a behind-the-scenes look at how everything comes together and opening the door for you to ask me anything and claim some rare items at special discounted prices. So pull up a seat and enjoy this brand new episode of Virtual Signings with Onrie, the live event show. You know what's missing is the explosion in the background that we usually have on the image shows. What's up, everybody? Welcome back to Virtual Signings with Onrie, the live event show. I'm your host, Onrie Compan, and with me today is, I guess we should just call him a permanent guest or even a co-host. We got a co-host thing going on. Chuck, how you doing? Chuck B.
Search your explosion.
We needed the explosion. We needed a little sploosh action going. How you doing, bro?
That's what my ex-wife said.
I don't even want to share what my ex-wife would say. That won't be nice, that's for sure.
We laugh because instead we would cry. How's everybody doing?
We got Corey in the house. We got Lorena in the house. This is great. So, for those of you guys who are just tuning in or coming in, we put this event together once a month. And it's just kind of like an opportunity for you guys to kind of see more about what's going on with the publishing side of my business. So you guys who tune in with me on a weekly basis and are buying comics from me, those are like live sales shows, and we're focused on collectible comics. This show is specifically geared towards talking about the stuff that I am publishing, and I have asked Chuck, my resident editor, to come and join us because he's also an incredible showman, and we're just gonna kind of kick it back and forth to you guys. This is also an AMA, so if you guys have any questions, feel free to ask them at any point. And I'm going to start today off. We actually, I was telling Chuck this yesterday. There was some press that got dropped for this, like a couple days ago, and this was an interview that was done back in 2022, and they finally put it up and broadcast it, which is really wild. So I guess we're going to talk a little bit about that. And Chuck and I we just finished up Warline 3, so we're going to show off Warline 3. Chuck, I'm looking forward to showing that off to you.
Yeah. And I want to say a quick hello to Victoria, to Garth Wong. Of course, I know who that is. And Exom Dom DX, who I don't know, but feels like they know me. So I'm interested.
Yeah. We just actually connected with me on Instagram. So that is, I think, if I'm not mistaken, that is John Malone. It might be.
Oh, cool.
That is John Malone. So John Malone actually saw the interview that I just dropped in the comments, the link to that. So basically 2 years ago, I got contacted by this Korean broadcasting company. They were like making a documentary for like the state or something like that. And they wanted to do like a big interview with me. And it was cool. We actually filmed in Oh Yeah Comics in Niles. And that was Skokie. Sorry, we filmed out there, and this was right. Actually, speaking of divorce, this was like a couple weeks before my divorce actually happened. So it was really weird. Like I'm still wearing my wedding band in the interview and everything, and I was like, man, my life was so different at that point, and it changed so dramatically after that interview. But after that, they like put out a documentary, and there was like a little piece of what they did. So I figured, wow, they spent like 2 days like filming and doing everything they had, and there was only like 5 minutes of footage with me in it, because they interviewed people. They traveled throughout the country, and they interviewed people who had like different areas of focus in Korean culture or something like that, and they didn't do anything. Well, apparently this interview dropped, and they used that footage, so that's cool. And now we're getting like a bunch of like I've been approached by a couple like news agencies. They want to do like interviews and stuff like that. So, that's pretty cool. And I'm definitely going to be mentioning you, Chuck, because you're now the editor on Yisung Shin, and you've been editing Yisung Shin for a couple of years now.
I love it. I'm very excited. I actually got to use Yisung Shin while dating.
Hey, that's awesome. There's nothing that women like more than Yi Sun Shin. So
Well, it was funny because there was this woman who was talking about how she's like, I love Asian cultures, and I'm like, oh, I'm actually working on a book about a Korean character. She's like, well, yeah, but they're not real. I was like, no, it was a real man, and I started explaining to her about Yi Sun Shin, and she was like, oh, so you know about you know about Korean culture, and I'm like, well, I do now.
that's awesome, man. No, you've done a tremendous amount of work. We're actually now working on the last 2 issues of Yi Sun Shin, which have been in production for a while now. Like we actually put the production on hiatus to focus on Warline, and you and I are actually getting on a call tomorrow to like talk about those last 2 issues because like there's been a huge gap and a lot of changes. You know, David Anthony Kraft was my co-writer and editor on the series for prior to you coming on. The majority of the series was done with him. And bringing you on was a very it was a very deliberate decision because I really felt like if anybody would help me see this vision through to the end and make sure we stick the landing, it's you. And Warline is proof of that. And I just finished that, man. Like I just want to say too how proud I am of you. You've done such incredible work on Warline too.
I'm really proud of what we did on Moreline, but also as far as Yi Sun Shin is concerned, it means so much to me that we stick the landing. Like I think what you guys have already done with the first 10 issues is huge, and it's such a good book and such a solid series. And there's for me, there's the right amount of pressure. Obviously there's too much pressure, but I'm not feeling that on this. There's just the right amount of pressure on this that there's 10 issues of awesome. There's no way I'm going to allow it to fuck up the last 2 issues. Like I just won't. So I'm very excited for what we've got planned already. I think already we're looking at adding certain things to the series and whatnot to really help just make it pop at the end, and so that we don't miss anything.
And honestly, like Warline was like the perfect buffer for us too, because like it gave us a chance to kind of understand what working together would be like.
Yeah, that's true.
It also helped us find our artist for the last 2 issues of Yi Sun Shin because we're making an adjustment. So Dexter Wee, who illustrated all of Warline, is coming in to work on Hunter and Destroyer. And I mean, he's already turned in some pages. Chuck, I think you've seen some of the pages, right? That Dexter's done.
Yeah.
And he's just like this guy. The thing that I love working with him about so much is like, prior to this, like I was very hands-on with the layout process. Like, I was drawing all the layouts and everything. And, that was just, at this point, I just don't have time in between going to the conventions and writing and doing all these sales shows. And it was you who was kind of like, hey, man, let's give the artist a little bit of room to be creative and let's let him, explore. And when you need to step in, you'll step in. But like, honestly, I didn't have to step in at all with Warline 3. I mean, like, you really just, and I think that was your role as like the editor, is to just kind of like get me to be a little less hands-on, which I appreciate.
Jay Burns, I see you in there, and I fucking miss you too, buddy. I love you guys so much. Thank you. Lay it on as thick as you want. This fat bastard loves thick.
Jay Burns is also an attorney. Did you know about this? No, you didn't hear. Well, there's a little commercial I prepared for the shows because he's been watching my ass on The Experience. Jay, what's up, brother? And then David Moore is saying that he uses my method of rage dating. So there's this thing called Yi Sun Shin rage dating, and you go to a bar and you see a girl, and if she ignores you, you clock her over the head with a beer mug, and then you drag her back home with you.
Yeah, that's called Neanderthal dating. That's old, man, and it's in
Korean, it becomes Yi Sun Shin rage dating. You got to see this commercial I made for Jay. You're gonna appreciate this. He really loved it.
Have you shopped with Onrie and not gotten your spin after spending $25? Were you promised free swag and never got it? Well, you may be entitled to compensation. Jay Burns Esquire is here to get the job done and lay the smackdown on Onrie. Just call 1-800-HOT-BURN to feel the burn. Proof, as they say, is in the pudding. Here's what one of our clients had to say. Boy, are my lips chappy. I could really go for some chapstick right about now. If you got a problem and lots of money, call Jay.
There's a bunch of small print in there too that like says that if you call for a quote, you get charged for it.
That's so, dude, I love that so much. That is so damn good. You know what I love about your videos is that they're just like, the quality is just bad enough that it's good. You know what I mean? Like they're just like, I love how you put his head on and then there's little pieces of white around the edges where the other photo was. But like, if you'd done it too crisp, I would have been like believable. And we don't want that necessarily. We want to be like, oh, this is lame, but like the right amount of lame, and you really like lay it on perfectly.
I got the Jerry Springer theme in there too. It was like it's so full of joy and hope.
And speaking of Dexter Wee's art,
yes.
As a Canadian, I am anti-slavery, but if I wasn't, I would own Dexter Wee because his art is stupid, and I would want to be the only guy who controls it. That's the truth.
He is fantastic.
Yeah.
Well, I guess now would be we're okay with it, Chuck. Now I'd like to run by everything that we have for sale right now.
Let's sell.
It's out there and it's done. Now, here's the great thing about virtual signings. I will, if you pick up anything from me right now, if you buy anything, I will sign it for you on the air. And I'm going to provide special discounted prices here that I don't offer on the website or anywhere else. So, or other than conventions. So, it's your chance to kind of shop with me from home without having to leave and get the discounted prices. So, the first item I have for sale, and there's not many, but the first item I have for sale here is this limited edition Yisunshin Warrior Defender 1 variant that is done by Dexter Wee. So Dexter Wee is the artist who's coming on to do Yisunshin. This is one of the first renderings of the character that he has done. And if you look at the artwork, you can see that he has really stayed true to what we've established with it, and it is just one dynamite cover. I absolutely love it.
If you look at that art and you still have to ask why is Dexter on the book, then you're the problem.
Ha! Yes, that's exactly right.
Truth, like that's gorgeous. It really is.
Absolutely. So there's only 100 of these in existence. Each one's going to go for just $15, and I will sign it for you. I believe these are signed and numbered too, if I'm not mistaken. So this is from our Kickstarter, and it's just overstock from it. So yeah, this is signed. It comes signed and numbered. You can see, and there's only 100 of these in existence. Cool. Anybody who wants one of these, and this is not listed on the website either. It's not listed anywhere. You can only get it here now. So we got this Yisunshin variant here, and then I have the single issues of Yisunshin, which we've been seeing some orders come through on the website directly. But I've also had some people message me on Instagram and say, "Hey, I'm interested in buying your book. How can I do that?" Well, this is the opportunity for you to do it right here, right now. So Yisunshin is a trilogy of comics broken up into 3 4-issue arcs. So the first arc is called Warrior and Defender, and that's these 4 issues here. That's 1, 2, 3, and 4. And the artwork inside the book is consistent from cover to cover. These are a new edition of the books, which have been re-edited and remastered. Chuck has helped me with that. We added, sound effects. We readjusted some of the dialogue. There was also this other small thing that most people who read comics wouldn't pay attention to. Chuck, do you want to? Yes, Chuck, you tell them what we did here.
It's called the crossbar eye, baby.
Tell us a little bit about the crossbar eyes.
So the crossbar eye in comics is obviously the capital I, and so you only use the capital I when it is the singular I, or I'm I'll, like any form of I. You don't even use it at the start of a sentence, do you?
No, no, you don't. Actually.
Yeah.
Unless the only time you use it is if the sentence starts with "I am," like if you're
Yes.
referring to the person. But otherwise, no crossbar on the I. It's one. It's one line.
So only when it is the actual word I or some contraction thereof. That's the only time you use the crossbar. And that was actually something that we had to kind of find out and then go back.
Really work on that. So
yeah.
Chuck helped me remaster all of these issues, and we're doing the first 4. Like if you just want to dip your beak in and see if you like Yisung Shin, you can get these 4 for just $10. It's $1 off the cover price of all 4 books, and I believe this deal is on the website. And then we have Fallen Avenger, which is the second arc of Yisung Shin. So that's issues 5, 6, 7, and 8. Now it's still going to be numbered 1 through 4, but if you'll notice the difference between Warrior and Defender and Fallen Avenger, there's that the subtitle's different, and we actually added this legacy number in place so that folks who aren't familiar or get confused know where to go from there. And we actually re-edited this issue together as well.
Yep.
And after that point, Dak and I started using sound effects and everything. So, but we have the next 4 issues also going for $10. So if you wanted to get the first 8 issues of Yisung Shin, it would be $20. And then we have issues 9 and 10 going for an extra $5. So it'd be $25. Now, when you go on the website, I actually thought I charged the full cover price on all those. You can technically get the $25 deal on the website. It's going to be like $26, but if you get them right now, it's $25, and you're saving $1 off of every single issue. I will sign all of them right here, right now for you on the air. And this was actually Dak's last issue of Yisung Shin, and I actually put his credit at the very top. I don't know, it's kind of hard to see here. Is it? Yeah, there we go. So we put.
Oh, that's beautiful.
I put his name above mine right there. Yeah, it was really hard, man. Like, I think he died in 2021, and then it took me like a full year to, kind of sit down and actually get this done. But this was actually Chuck's first issue of Yisung Shin, so he helped me see this through to the end. And I knew after this point, I'm like, he can help me stick the landing on this, and I felt very confident after that point. So. We went back after that and remastered the first 4 issues because we sold out of them. We had to go back to press. Oh, so you bought them on eBay? Oh, that's interesting. Yeah, some people are selling Yisung Shin on eBay too, which is interesting.
So he didn't buy that from you on eBay?
No, he didn't buy it from me on eBay.
That's funny.
I started my eBay store because they were charging. So I found out what the problem was, but so I had about 1,500 items listed on eBay, and what ended up happening was eBay kind of got around to it, and they're like, "Well, your items aren't listing, so we're going to start charging you for every listing." And I'm like, "But you guys say you have 250 free listings a month." Now that's true. You can list up to 250 items a month, but if those items are not selling, then they start kind of charging you. So I took down my entire store from eBay, and when I built my website, I basically just uploaded everything there. So I've been trying to direct people to the website, but I do plan to start listing on eBay again because I have a bunch of stuff that I want to sell that I think would sell better on there. And it's just never hurts to have your stuff available in multiple outlets, So there's that. And then with Yisung Shin, I got 2 more things I'm going to pitch you guys. So we got these holofoil variants here of issue 10, also featuring artwork by Dexter Wee, and this is a really gorgeous foil cover here.
Beautiful gin.
Yes, limited to only 25 copies, so there's only 25 of these in existence. This one's going to go for $50, so $50 on that, and we only have 2 of them here.
I was going to ask you, so there's 25 of those only in existence, but how many do you have?
Oh, I only have maybe 10 left.
Right?
It's all piecemeal at conventions and stuff.
Yeah, guys, there's not a lot of options to get those.
Yeah, sometimes people will drop by the booth, they'll see that cover, and they'll be like, I want that. And they don't even care about the book. They just like the artwork, So it helps.
John, you can buy them now.
Yeah, you can buy it now. So, John, the way it would work is you would just give me your email, and I will send you an invoice through PayPal, and I'll invoice you today, and I got you covered. So if you want all 10 issues, I can sign those for you now. I have it set here, and I'll take care of that for you. Now, one thing I just want to point out for you, though, man, you did buy the first 4 on eBay. And since you bought them on eBay, I don't want you to feel like you need to buy them again. If you want to just buy issues 5 through 10 from me right now, I could do all those for $15 and just save you $10 since you already have them on the way. Like, I don't want to I don't want you to feel like you need to buy the same thing twice.
Good old honest Onrie.
Honest Onrie, yeah. Well, your continued business means a lot, and I still have more things to show you. All right. I think there's 3 more items, and then I'm done, and we'll get back to having a conversation here. So we also have the hardcover graphic novel, and this one has a foreword by Stan Lee in it. The first graphic novel collects the first 4 issues of Yisun Shin, and it has that foreword by Stan in it, and over 50 pages of bonus material in the back. There's like director's cut content and things like that in there. So this one's going to normally sell for $25. If you go on the website, that's what you're going to pay. I'm doing it right now for $20. And if you buy the second volume with it, which also has 50 pages of bonus content and collects the next 4 issues, this is also going to go for $20. So it's normally a $50 value. You get it at $40 right now. I will sign it for you here and now. And let's see. And then we got, what other stuff I'm dropping here. And then we got Marx, which is another book I wrote about my grandfather. During World War II, he was a Russian Jewish soldier that fought the Nazis. It's a standalone story. There are no sequels or prequels to it. This one is going to go for just $15. And then finally, we have Warline, which is our newest series. And Warline's about an old vigilante and his daughter going after the tyrant that destroyed their lives and now controls their city. And it's a 3-issue miniseries. Each book is double-sized. We just finished issue 3. I have issues 1 and 2 normally selling for $20. I'm doing them right now for $10, so it's buy one, get one free. And then I'm giving everybody a one last chance opportunity to pre-order this special exclusive edition that we're releasing next week at Emerald City Comic Con. And I have the printed edition here. This is issue 3 of Warline with an homage cover done by Frank Guzan, who's an Israeli-based artist, and he's tributing this really cool cover that was done by Frank Miller, and it's a Wolverine cover. I got the trade specifically for that, but here it is. See, this is the Wolverine cover we're tributing here, and this is going to go for $20. So if you were to get all of Warline, it would be $30 for the 3 issues, and I would sign them all. And we're going to go more into this in a minute because I want to talk to I want to let Chuck know what I think about it and everything, even though him and I already talked about it. But, anybody can pre-order Warline right now if they want to. And I think I'm done selling stuff. So anybody who wants to or anyone who wants to call anything, feel free to do so right now.
John called for he wants the whole series. He said he'll just give the other ones to his kids to read, but he wants the whole series signed by you.
All right, awesome. Now, for the kid thing, I'm happy to sell you books to your kids. And, man, I hate being my own cock block, but Yisun Shin is a very violent series, and it is targeted towards an adult audience. Like, if you're a fan of Ghost of Tsushima or Blue-Eyed Samurai, it's going to be at that age level. However, if you have kids and you still want them to know about Yisun Shin, which I think is totally awesome and you should, you can show them the battle sequences and just make sure that they don't see the other parts of the story. Or if you're like me, I have a 12-year-old, and at this point, like, he's seen it all, and I just let him read Yisun Shin. So it's entirely up to you. But I got you on those 10 issues.
His kids are adults.
Oh, perfect. All right.
Yeah.
Excellent. I'll tell you why I have to do this. I've had so many situations occur. One year I was at this event in my hometown. It was like a Korean festival, and I sat up there with Max. And so this lady comes up to me in the morning, and she's like, she sees what I'm doing. She's like, "Oh, did you make this book?" And I'm like, "Yeah." And she goes, "Someone gave this book to me, and I just want to let you know I'm extremely offended. I think this is a terrible book. I can't believe that there's so much violence in this." And I'm like, "It's a book about war. Like, there's violence in it." And she's like, "This is appalling!" And she like made this huge scene in front of me. It was so embarrassing. But like, I kind of had to, tell her to, take her opinions elsewhere. And I've gotten reviews on Amazon where people are like, "Oh my God, this book is violent. I was going to show this to my kids." And so I make it an effort now to let parents know, like, hey, this is not really for kids. This isn't your daddy's Yisum Shin. This is a real historical, rendering of what happened in Korea during the 1500s.
And I feel you there. I've had because we have for Belial and stuff, we have chibis of them and stuff, and so you'll have parents come by and they're like, "Oh, I'd love to get that for my kid." And I'm like, "Nah, man. I say fuck more in here than you say the. I don't think that's a good idea." And they're like, "Oh, my kid's fine." I'm like, "Look, I warn you. If you really want it, I will sell it to you. I need the money that bad, but I'm warning you, it's not for kids." They're like, "No, it's good." All right, fine. You were told.
Yeah, exactly. So, John, I have signed all of your books for you on the air. I know it's kind of hard to see on here, but they are signed. And I got you. All 10 issues are signed. Anything else you want to pick up, feel free to let me know in the comments. This comic has art in it. I didn't sign up for that.
Yeah, right? Captain Tuttle, you are loved.
Yeah, that's Chris Steiskell.
Oh, I love Chris.
We have to play the Chris Steiskell tribute video.
Oh, we have a Chris one. Yeah.
Yeah, I just worked on it. I'm really happy with it.
Chris Steiskell. That is no bathroom. I object, Your Honor. What you talking about, Willis? If the glove don't fit, you must have quit. Kiss my purple ass. Can I use the bathroom? So see my yates.
These images are so random. Are these all inside jokes, or are you just I'm gonna put random shit in here?
Random shit together, man.
I love it so much. From a squirrel to Mikhail Gorbachev to frickin' Buffalo Wild Wings, it's brilliant.
Yeah, and the best part was I fit some Russian in there. So, are you interested to know what Mikhail Gorbachev was saying in that video?
No.
He's saying, "Suck my balls."
Oh, that's brilliant.
Okay, so on the left side bottom, that's the issue 1 variant. So that is this book right here, and it's a variant cover of it. So it's just an alternative cover. We only did 100 of these. This one's going to go for $15 by itself if you want to grab it. And then we also have the foil cover of issue 10. So these are extremely limited items, and they're a little bit on the pricier end. If you're going to blow your money, though, I highly recommend grabbing the graphic novels if you want to add stuff on, because the graphic novels have content in there that's not in the single issues. So, if you're looking to make a gift or whatever, but again, no pressure, John. We've got you on the first 10 issues here, and if you want to make adjustments to your order too, it's not too late. It's fine. I've signed so many of these, it's not a big deal. Okay, so you want that also. All right. So we got a variant sold. This is awesome. You want this one then. So this is done by the artist who's going to come on to finish the last 2 issues of Yisum Shin. And I'm actually really excited about this, Chuck. I think Dexter has done some incredible work so far.
Yeah, and he fits in so well with the scheme and the feel. Yeah, man, it's a no-brainer to me.
Yeah. So Jay says I do all my voice acting too. Yes, I do all my voice acting. I work in comics, man. I don't got money for voice actors. I ain't rich like some of these other comic book people. Well, here you go, man. John, thank you very much. I really Chuck and I both really appreciate your support.
Yep. John's asking if you have his email.
No, John just messaged me on Instagram, and just send me your email through Instagram, and I'll send you an invoice today. But this is fantastic. Thank you so much. See, there was one time when I went to Korea in 2015 to promote the Korean edition of Yisun Shin. That resulted in me getting so many sales statewide. You know, like going into the whole conversation about adaptation and, you know, like our goals as comic creators. Like, I think I got a taste of that with the Korean edition of Yisun Shin. And even the film adaptation that was done with the Roaring Currents films, you know, the thing that was cool about it was it helped sell a lot of books. And I think that's really awesome, is that when you can see books selling through as a result of something else that's not entirely like you getting up in front of people and telling them about your book, or, you know, retail or anything like that, just something that stimulates people to buy books. And I think that's really kind of like, if I were to say what would be my end goal for, like, you know, and for Yisun Shin, and of course I'd like to see a film get made. Like, that would be awesome, and to have some creative control over it would be even more fun. But even having a movie get made and it encouraging people to buy more books, like, that's just going to happen no matter what. You know, like even with Watchmen, when the movie came out, it wasn't like really well received when it hit theaters, but it sold a ton of books. Like, DC sold a ton of them.
Well, I think that's what I like about Yisun Shin, is that it feels like an American adaptation, and kind of like an American way of being like, hey man, this is how we see this story, and we would love to show this off to our audience. Because let's be honest, a lot of Americans aren't gonna on their own be like, hey, I want to learn about this admiral, no matter how much you talk about them. Just for no reason, they're not going to do that. But you've created this story that is just perfect for American audiences to be excited by, and to be introduced to the point where they look at it and they go, cool, what's the difference between the legend that Onrie made and the actual thing? Like, make them want to go do their research. And I love that.
No, thank you. I appreciate that. You know, I've actually been, thank you for saying that, Chuck. I've been, I'm actually talking right now with this other, he's a podcaster / writer, and he's very well known. He was actually on Joe Rogan's show at one point. He runs one of the most popular history-based podcasts in the country, and incredible writer, by the way, too, and a huge historical fanatic. And we're actually working, you know, like on collaborating together on like a historical anthology type of thing, which I'll let you know more about as we.
Yeah, you will.
Yeah, well, as we kind of put it together. But, you know, it's one of the things that I think what's really great about, you know, history in general is, you know, when we read comics, it's like, you know that after a certain point, these characters like don't exist, but the writers that write these characters, they leave their own imprints on them. And, you know, I was just reading an issue of Iron Man, and, you know, I felt that same thing. Like there was something about Tony Stark said. So I'm reading the Armor Wars, and those books came out in the late '80s. And there's this scene where Tony Stark's looking at a bottle of some kind of alcohol, probably like bourbon or something like that, and he's very tempted to drink it, but he knows what will happen if he does drink it, and he knows that it's not what's right for him right now because he's like sober. And that really spoke to me because, you know, I'm now 8 months sober from using marijuana. I was very habitual with my marijuana usage, and now I'm clean. Like 8 months, I haven't used it at all. And, you know, like that kind of stuff speaks to me. But when you kind of know that these characters don't exist, it's like, you know, there's that drop off. And the one thing that I really appreciated about Yisun Shin was like, here's a real life hero who actually existed, who actually did something that, you know, helped a bunch of people. He saved his country and defended his own legacy. And I thought that was his heritage, really. And I really respected that. That's something that I'm glad I could bring to the comic book platform. What's up, D? Got D. Hausner in the house.
D. Hausner is in the Hausner.
D. Hausner is in the Hausner. That's exactly how it goes. All right, well let's switch gears for a minute because we were talking about Yixun Shin for a little bit. I want to talk about Warline because you and I have reached a huge milestone with Warline, and Warline was really my COVID machination, and it was something that when COVID hit, prior to COVID, I was going to conventions and selling Yixun Shin exclusively. That was how I was making my living. And once COVID hit, I couldn't go to conventions anymore because everything got shut down, and I really didn't know what to do with myself. It was a real difficult time, and it was an important period for me because that's what led me to doing live broadcasting and doing sales, and it actually allowed me to grow my business ultimately. But this was also an opportunity for me to explore something new entirely, and that's really what gave birth to Warline. And it was originally something I was working on with my editor on Yixun Shin, but then, like I mentioned earlier, he passed away suddenly. So Warline kind of fell into the same development hell that we're now pulling Yixun Shin out of. And I knew that I wanted to get this. I knew I wanted to make this. This was really important to me because it's a very personal story. And it ended up becoming a lot more cathartic than I realized once Chuck and I started working on it. But with Warline, what happened was I reached out to Chuck, and the reason why I reached out to him, he interviewed me on his show, and I was telling him that I was stuck on this project, and he started asking me these questions that, like, I think only an editor would know to ask. And it was at that point, that was the first time that I was like, man, this guy is somebody I'd like to work with. And then a couple months later, Dak passed away. And then a couple months after that, I reached out to Chuck. And Chuck, do you want to tell him about the conversation we had?
I love that conversation because you came to me and basically said, look, I want to work on this thing. You already had some images done for it and such. And, but you said, you were just in this like development hell. And after losing, Dak and everything, like you didn't know what to do. And I said, you know what, man, let's not make this some kind of selling thing or whatever. Come to me. Let's do a good chat about it. Let's just talk about it. And if when you're done, you think you want to make this, then let's make it. And if you don't, that's okay too. At least we got to figure it out. And maybe there's a different project we'd be good for or whatever. And so we sat down, and I will tell you guys, for those of you who have read, and especially this last issue, for those of you who have read it and feel like it's dark, because of the place he was in, it was considerably darker. Like
not just me, you too, man. We were both in a really dark place.
Yeah. Oh, absolutely.
Yeah. We
were in very dark places.
Yes. Yeah. Absolutely.
And it was a very dark book. And I remember him, and of course, again, because it's personal. And so we're talking about it. And I remember we were both in the middle of this rough spot. And he was talking about it, and he was saying how it was going to look like when it ended and stuff. And I believe the sentence that you said was, there's not always light at the end of the tunnel.
Yes.
And I laughed at that point. And I'm sure at that point he was probably a little annoyed, like, how dare this fucking guy?
I wasn't annoyed. That was a moment of clarity for me.
Yeah.
I needed to hear that. Like, no one likes being in a dark place.
Of course.
Read Burns. I don't like read negative Burn and then go into a corner and put mascara on and start crying. I know that there's light at the end of the damn tunnel. You know what I mean?
Well, and so I told him, I said, the reason why you would say that there's no light, sometimes there's no light at the end of the tunnel, is because you're not out of the fucking tunnel yet.
Yeah.
And it was great because I saw, like, I could feel the light behind his eyes just like burst. And he was like, oh, damn. And all of a sudden, like, that dam just kind of opened up, and we had a story. Like, we had an idea. We were coming up with this idea of legacy and all that kind of stuff. And it just burst out, and we were having so much fun. And at that point, it was just like, yeah, we got to do this. Like, this thing has to happen.
And the one thing that Chuck did too is he gave me permission to explain things. Like, there was like there were certain things I didn't know how to explain. He was like, well, why don't you explain it as this? I was like, okay, that makes sense. And I'm like, well, what about the villain? What do I call him? He's like, I'm going to give you a name. Call him the Overseer. And I was like, okay, that works, And I really love what we did with the Overseer. I mean, He is such a fantastic villain. And, all of the characters, like, I've had the opportunity over the last couple of days to read all 3 issues of War Lion in one sitting. And I feel like we achieved everything that we set out to do with this. And the one thing that I always love with any story that I work on is seeing a transformation of character, like especially in Yi Sun-shin. You see him get older as the issues go on. You want to see change in character. You don't want them to be in the same place at the end that they were in the beginning. They have to be changed by their journeys. And you can definitely see that happening progressively in War Lion in a very fast-paced and unforgiving way. Like what you were saying, it's a melee. And I'm really happy with the way this turned out. And this 3rd issue in particular, I mean, this is a tour de force. I'm so proud of this. Like,
you put so much work into it.
One sequence here, and that's it. I'm just so pleased. I can't wait for people to check this out at the.
And you're talking about the growth of character, but you're only talking about one character right now. Really, like, I mean, War Lion has that. Kia has it. Even like the Overseer, Luther, like everybody in this kind of has their own little arcs, and I think that's what I really enjoy about it is everybody kind of gets their piece of growth.
Yeah, oh, absolutely. All the characters in this, I think, did that, and there are some really strong moments in this that you really help piece together, and just seeing it all come together, like. And I don't want to spoil it for anyone, but like, just certain lines of dialogue that just made everything connect so much better. And the only hint I'm going to give you, Chuck, and you'll know what I'm talking about, is the floating bullet. That was just such a perfect line added for that moment. Those of you guys who read War Lion 3 will know what I'm talking about. Now, for those of you guys who pre-ordered War Lion 3, I am giving you guys a special gift because I am a man of the people. A man of all people, as a matter of fact. But a man of all people. But anyway, Frank Uzan, who did this cover, is actually going to be at Emerald City. And why is this a big deal? Because the dude is flying all the way from Israel to be at this convention. And him and I agreed that for our pre-order books only, he will sign them at no additional fee. That means that anyone who buys War Lion 3 for me on the floor of Emerald City Comic Con is going to have to buy something from Frank in order for him to sign it. So that's a pretty big deal. And I think that's a very fair policy. Fabrice Sapolsky, who does the cover, who did the cover for Marks, and he also did a War Lion cover, he does the same thing. And I think this is a really great policy because Fabrice, like me, is a self-published creator. He has his own publishing line of books, and he wants you to read his books too. So if you want him to sign stuff, you got to buy something from him. And I think that's a very fair policy. And I told Frank, this is what you should do too. Don't just sell War Lion 3. And this way we're actually helping each other because I didn't actually pay Frank for doing this art. I'm paying him with comps. And I want him to sell those comps because I don't want him to have to trudge all this stuff back to Israel. I want to make this as easy for him as possible. So if I'm pushing people over to him to get those books signed, they'll buy something from him, and he's getting it back. So this is how we all help each other out. Just keeping it all transparent for you guys.
I was telling a story recently. We had a family reunion here. I was telling a story where it was one of my favorite Onrie stories. I have several great Onrie stories, but this is one where we were at his house for C2E2. There was a bunch of people in the house. And he says, "Hey, Chuck, we got to sign a bunch of War Lion 1s. Can you come into my office?" And we sit down, and there's a stack. I don't know. It felt like 100 or 150. Like there was a big stack of them. And I'm signing them, and at one point, my hand starts to hurt, and I'm getting you're getting frustrated, and you're like, "Damn it," And if you've ever seen my signature, it's this like little block symbol, and I'm doing it 150 times, and partway through my hand is hurting, and then I start laughing, and Onrie looked at me really weird, and he was like, "What's going on, man?" And I was like, "You know what?" For a second there, I was hurting, and I was a little pissed off at the fact that my hand was hurting, and then I thought, how would 10-year-old Chuck feel knowing that one day his hand would hurt so much because he's signing so many of the comic books he worked on? And I thought, you know what? That's the greatest pain in the world. Like, it is the happiest pain. And after that, I signed them all, and it didn't matter how much it hurt. I was so happy to just jot all the way and get through all of them, because it was just such an honor to know that somebody wanted that.
That's awesome, Chuck. Yeah, that's wonderful. I'm glad. I really appreciated that story. That was actually the same night that you and I came up with the concept for the first issue cover.
Yeah,
which I'm happy with too. Yeah. So let's see. Let's check out the comments. So Roberto's like, you mentioned Iron Man, so I'm here. We got Katrina now. John was asking, when are you coming to LA or San Diego? That is a very good question. So no, I've been doing San Diego Comic-Con for a long time, but I don't think I'm going to be heading out in that direction this year. I'm waiting to get my own booth at the show, and there's like a long wait list. So every year that I've been doing San Diego prior, I was subletting space from another dealer booth. So I had like a little, probably about 2 feet of selling space, and I was working from there. But the only other show is LA Comic-Con, and it's not the most lucrative event. So, flying out for it and getting inventory out there is kind of a pain in the butt. So I'm not sure when I'll be out in the California area next, but you never know what could bring me out there.
Have you ever done WonderCon? Because I've heard really good things about that.
Yeah, WonderCon's been a good event. I did it a couple times. It's just sort of like, it's always fallen on a weird weekend for me. Like, I think this year it's falling on the same weekend as Kansas City, which is like, much more. Actually, when is WonderCon happening?
It's funny because I had the same problem with Comic Palooza, which for us was, when I was in Texas, that was like our local show. Like, that was our big show. And every year they were doing it on Mother's Day weekend. I'm just like, guys, like,
that's
not helpful.
Yeah. And same thing with Heroes Con and out in North Carolina. It's like they do it on Father's Day weekend. I'm like, I can't not be with my kids on Father's Day. It just doesn't work like that. So
that's the nice thing, being divorced now. It's a lot easier to do Mother's Day. So keep doing that, everybody. But Father's Day, come on.
Okay, so you want to get all the items that are on top. So if you want to get all of Warline, it's going to be issues 1 and 2. Normally are 20. They're going to go for 10. And then this variant of Warline 3 is going to go for 20. So this would be 30. If you wanted to get Marks, the story about my grandpa, that's 15. If you want to just start with Warline 1 and 2, it's just $10. So let me know what you want to do. And then, like I said, we were showing off Warline 1. We also received this really awesome foil too. And this is only limited to 10 copies.
Oh.
This one is just absolutely gorgeous, Chuck. I am so happy with this. Now, we had a little bit of an error. If you guys look really closely, and I'll have to just make the screen bigger.
I'm making my screen bigger just so I can see it.
Yeah. If you see it, it's almost not even visible. But do you see it? Now do you see it? Like, if you look above that guy's forearm, you see that line across?
Yeah. Is that like a bend or something?
Yeah, it was just like a bend from how it was bagged and boarded. But what's really awesome, the printer who put these together, his name is Stephen Crawford, Heroes and Villain Designs out in Phoenix, Arizona. He reprinted them and he sent me, more. So this is really cool. And this is the one I read. So we sold some more line, Chuck. How's that feel?
I love it. John just bought the 3.
Yeah. So John, if you're okay with this, since you're buying Warline, I'm happy to have Frank sign this for you on the house. You would just have to wait another week before I ship everything out. if you're okay with that, let me know. If not, I can just sign this for you and ship everything out after I invoice. But since this will literally come with me to to Seattle next week, he will sign it there. This will be included on that stack of books, and you'll get this book signed by the artist who did the cover as well, which I think is worth the wait.
Worth the wait.
There's no additional fee for it, so let me know if you want to do that. If not, I can just sign this for you and send it on your way. It's up to you.
Oh, dang. Katrina wants all 3 as well.
Well, Katrina could get all 3. We can do it. I wish you were here to sign books right now, Chuck.
I would sign the crap of them happily.
Yes. You're out in Canada right now.
I am out in Canada, in the tundra.
Yes, out in the tundra. Well, are you still wearing shorts is the question.
No, I'm wearing pants.
Oh, you're wearing pants? Are you
It
fucking
sucks.
Oh my God, seriously?
I own pants and I hate it.
Oh my God.
Yeah.
That's a war crime, Chuck.
Dude, being divorced and wearing pants are both the worst things that have ever happened to me.
Well, you know what, my friend, being divorced was the worst thing that happened to me too. And Warline 2 was essentially like, you know, I don't think this is spoiling anything. It's about my divorce, essentially. You know, like, there's a lot of my divorce feelings that come out through that book. And that's why I would say it's such a dark place. But, you know, it was kind of weird because I thought about it. And while I was working on the book, this was before I got divorced, I knew I had to go to this dark place that I didn't want to go to. And that was what really made it rough for me. But I'm just so happy with the way we closed it off at the end, because again, you were talking about the light at the tunnel, and without spoiling it for anybody, you know, this is the issue that really delivers the emotional gut punch, so to speak. And you know, I think by the end of it, you will all feel at peace.
Yeah, I will say, Onrie, that the light at the end of the tunnel for that book is beautiful. Like it makes all of it worth it. Like it was, you and I were going through probably some of the most difficult moments of our lives in the making of that book, and it's beautiful. You
even blanked out. I'm sorry to cut you off, but like you like, because there was a gap in between Warline 2 and 3, and you were like, did I even read Warline 2? Because like,
I did. Yeah, I was in. I'll be perfectly frank with all you guys, because you know how I usually am, but I was in such a dark place and was mourning the marriage and all that kind of stuff that, like, I'll tell people my brain was like Swiss cheese. And so I even said to Onrie, I don't remember reading issue 2 at all. Did I do it? And he was like, yes, you did. And I was like, yeah, I can't remember. And when I had to go back over it again, I was like, there were moments where I was like, did I? And then as I was like, yes, okay, I remember this. I remember that line. Okay, cool.
So John, yes, we have t-shirts. I have a large for Warline and I have a large for Yisun Shin. Each t-shirt is going to go for $20. So let me know which one you want to get. If you want a Yisun Shin shirt, just like this one, I have a large. If you want the Warline shirt, which I don't have here, but it's just basically the Warline logo right here.
And I love that so much. And you know why.
Also Chuck. Yeah.
Yeah. Actually, I do have a question about the Warline shirt. I think mine might have been left in America. I have not been able to find it. Do you have any 4 or 5Xs?
I have a 4X. I have one. And I actually had it specially printed for someone, but they never claimed it. I'll just send it to you, Chuck. I got you covered.
Can you hold that for me, and I'll buy that? I would love that.
So, John, you could just claim it now. I'll add it to your bill, and I can, if you want a T-shirt, I can add it to your bill right now. So it's just $20. You can either get I don't put the shirts up on. I didn't put them up on my website. And the thing is like I usually make them for specific events. So like for our Kickstarter, that's the only time I go back to press on t-shirts. And I recently did a run of 10 Warline t-shirts, but those are just for me to wear at cons. So like I'm kind of like Steve Jobs in that way, where like he only wore one shirt and one pair of jeans. I do the same thing. I'm representing all the time. So just let me know if you want to get a a pair of, or if you want one shirt or two shirts, just let me know. I got them both. You mentioned that you were a large, so I got you on that front. So Chuck, what do you got? What do you got going on for the rest of the weekend? I'm sorry, man. I cut you out completely. I didn't even realize.
No, you're good. You're good. Yeah, we were looking at the beauty of War Lions, so I was fine with that.
Okay.
So actually, I'm right after this. I'm gonna finish up some work, and then I'm heading out for a poker weekend with some old buddies I haven't seen in a dozen years. So I'm really excited for that. But if you don't mind me showing off a couple projects real quick, because
Please, go
Chucky,
ahead.
I took a little bit of a hiatus, and mostly what I did during that hiatus was War Lion. But coming back now, I'm stepping back in, and I've got 3 projects. If you cannot believe it, 3 projects and 4 books on Kickstarter right now. So if you guys would be interested, the first one is the trade paperback for Green Zone Life on the Blocks, done by Fish Lee. I edited the first issue. I loved it. It's really great. It's a really cool, like I like to call it Police Academy meets the X-Men, where it's basically these people who, because of their genetic makeup, they end up being treated like almost like South Africa, like Africans in South Africa. Like it's very difficult, and so their only way out is by getting a job, and they work as cops, and it's very difficult, and it's both funny and funny, comical, and dark too. So that's one to check out. Really good series. The other one is Immortal Era. I know Jay Burns is a big Immortal Era fan. I've edited a bunch of the more recent ones, and they're on issue 10. So issue 10 is on Kickstarter right now from Finish Line Comics. Check out Immortal Era. It's basically a post-apocalyptic world. What would happen if no one could die? And again, another dark. All of these books actually are fairly dark. So that's a really good one too. And then the final one, it just went on Kickstarter last night, and it's already kicking butt. It was multiple times over its goal very quickly. Cretaceous issue 3. I have done the dialogue for issue 2, and I'm writing the script. I'm the full-time writer for issue 3 moving forward, and that's through Ethereal Comics. And I like to explain that one as Jurassic Park meets the Walking Dead, and it's basically this squadron that's sent in to save a man inside a facility, and they end up coming across zombies and resurrected dinosaurs. And really cool piece. Having so much fun with it. Ethereal they do sexy books though, so it's my first foray into sexy, and I'm having a lot of fun, and I'm giving it my kind of joking, comical style, and so it's been a lot of fun, and I hope you guys dig that.
Yes, and also speaking of Fish Lee, I have a link here. I actually interviewed him last year, and he honestly, I have to say, is the independent man of the year from
Yeah.
I would say that was the title I gave him, because he's been doing so much stuff, and I think it's so great that you're editing his stuff. But Chuck, I also want to say that you're taking on all these projects as a testament to you finding the light at the end of the tunnel and your positivity. And it's so good to see you back on your feet. And it took no time at all. I know a lot of people who have gone through separations. Like, when we go through the stuff, it's like you meet people who are kind of kindred spirits going through this. And some people have a really, really hard time, bouncing back from it. And you and I have been there for each other throughout a lot of it. Just seeing how quickly you have rebounded and found work for yourself and are constantly putting yourself out there for those opportunities and pitching those ideas. You are one hell of a showman, dude. Keep it up.
Thank you, buddy. Well, and it takes one to know one, right? I think what I love about our relationship is we both love stories so much. We're both excellent salespersons. We're both excellent personalities. Like, we love being in front of the camera and talking to our audiences and having a good time with our audiences. And we've become divorce buddies. And so we, when things are difficult, we'll reach out. Like, it's funny. We'll have this, we'll both have these periods where we both go dark, and then suddenly one of us will come back and be like, "Hey, man, checking in." It's like, yeah, I think we need to talk, and so it'll be really good. We'll chat about what's going on, how we're feeling. We'll help each other out of it, and then we're back to working, and then it's good again. And it's been really amazing for me, honestly.
That's great. Yeah, no, I feel the same way. And actually, this is the most I've spoken about my ex-wife on the air. Right?
I know, right?
Out of respect, I usually don't talk about it and divulge too much, just because.
Well, and there's nothing rude for either of us to say.
No,
we're both exes, and
yeah, it was brought up in a tasteful way, and it feels good to kind of get some of it out, So, John, I got you on the t-shirts. I only have black t-shirts, unfortunately. So that's all I got with the t-shirts.
It's because Onrie knows the truth. Once you go black, you never go back, and so
ain't that the truth?
It's true. Also, it's a perfect con shirt because if you get something on it, it's easily wiped off. If it's white, you're screwed for the whole weekend. So you got to go black. You have to.
All right. Well, I think this is the end of our hour here. I will be back on the air selling collectible comics on Tuesday evening on The Experience, 7 p.m. Pacific, 8 p.m. Mountain Time, 9 p.m. Central, 10 p.m. Eastern. Chuck, where are we going to see you next?
You know what? Check me out on my Facebook, Chuck Pino, Pineau. Instagram, same thing. I don't have any particular plans, but I do know that at some point I will be coming back to broadcasting in some form or another because I just love hanging out, and I did a live last night and had a blast. And so you guys will be seeing me around. So by all means, hook up, come check out my stuff because you will be seeing me around.
That's awesome. All right, guys. Have a great rest of your weekend. Stay out of trouble. And if you get into trouble, make sure it's not too much trouble. And don't get caught.
Don't get caught.
All right. See you guys later. Hang on.